crime against everything that this country stands for. How can this Congress not impeach this president? And let's go past that. Let's look at global warming. Let's look at Katrina. And global warming. This president, we've been told by scientists that there's a tipping point beyond which we cannot change the disaster that's coming, right? How many years, we were told there was like a 10-year window. And how many years have been wasted by this president of that 10-year window with nothing being done, and worse than that, of actually going out of his way to threaten other countries that are trying to do something about it with trade sanctions if they did. This president has wasted 6 going on 7 years of the 10-year window. We're in big trouble. And even his own Defense Department said that this was a bigger threat to American security, just thinking parochially, than terrorism. And yet, this president has basically handed us over to an unprecedented disaster. So how can we not impeach him? Having said that, the Democrats in the leadership of Congress are preventing impeachment from happening. Nancy Pelosi is still saying that impeachment is off the table. What's that about? If she said it a year ago, you might have said, okay, Nancy, well, we'll show you, because he's still committing crimes. And look what he did. He's committed all these crimes since she said that. Has she changed her mind? No. So what is it? What is she thinking? She just said recently, I wrote it in an article, and by the way, check my website, thiscan'tbehappening.net, about this. Nancy Pelosi said a few days ago, in a radio interview, not with me, but didn't get much publicity, that she thought impeaching George Bush was a waste of time. That's a quote. And she also said that defending the Constitution isn't worth it. That's a quote. Isn't worth it unless you can win. What is that? The Founding Fathers didn't say impeachment is required when the president abuses his power. If you can win. They didn't say that. They said you shall impeach him. Win or lose, you do it. And by the way, when they tell you, well, we can't get 2/3 of the Congress to throw him out, so how can we impeach him? Impeachment's in the House. Impeach him. That makes 50% plus 1. And then take it to the Senate. And then see what happens. When Nixon was impeached, when the bills of impeachment were filed against Richard Nixon, I was just reading an account by Jimmy Breslin, an excellent account at that time. He reports that there were 25 members of Congress who were willing to back the idea of impeaching Nixon. Look, this was a guy who just won a landslide election 2 years before. A landslide against George McGovern. He was a popular president. He had the whole silent majority behind him, and people were afraid of him. But 25 people said they supported impeachment in the House. The bills went to hearings. The hearings went on, and his criminality was exposed on TV without the mediation of reporters, who said spun the thing so that it turned into nothing. You saw it on live TV. It was more popular than American Idol. Everyone was watching as witnesses came up and told about his criminality. And as that happened, more and more people swung to saying, well, this guy's a criminal, he's got to go. And ultimately, of 3 articles that were voted out of the Judiciary Committee, 1 was voted out unanimously with Republican votes. And then that's when the walk went to the White House, and people like Goldwater told him, it's over, Dick. You're going down. You're going to lose in the Senate. Lose in the Senate. There weren't 2/3 Democrats in the Senate. There were, I think it was either 54 or 58 Democrats in the Senate. They didn't have 67 votes. It was going to be Republicans that were going to send him out of office. And then he was going to be indicted, and then he was going to go to jail, like this president should. And if the Democrats would get out of call her office and say, why aren't you supporting impeachment? I got a staffer who said, well, you know, the leadership is really opposed to this. And I said, what the hell does that have to do with anything? I elected a congresswoman to vote what I wanted, not what the leadership wanted. So what do you want about it? What is this? Nancy Pelosi doesn't tell your congressperson how to vote. You tell your congressperson how to vote. And what's going to have to happen, this is not going to change until we tell the Democrats that represent us and the Republicans that this is the #1 issue. This and end the funding for the war. Now, end the funding and vote for impeachment. Put a bill in yourself for impeachment. Sign on to a bill for impeachment. There is a bill for impeachment right now for Cheney. Sign it, or I'm not voting for you. Right? We have to start saying that. Progressives have been taken advantage of too long, taken for granted by Democrats for too long. And if it's going to continue, and you do it, or you're not getting our votes anymore. And we'll run primaries against you. Okay? This is going to happen. And all of you have to make it happen. Every one of you needs to convince 10 people to join you in this. We have a movement now. So let's carry it to the streets, let's carry it to Congress, and let's make it happen. Impeach Bush.